Welcome to the Chambers Elevated Conversations podcast. And now, your host, Dave Eckmann.
Good afternoon. I'm your host, Dave Eckmann. Welcome to another edition of Elevated Conversations. Here today in this middle January, talking to Mr. Charles Skinner, owner of Granite Peak Ski Area. Welcome, Charles.
Good afternoon, Dave. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, and glad you could join us today. Charles, this afternoon, what I wanted to do is talk to you on a couple topics and really give an opportunity for the community to meet you. Most people don't know you and understand where you're from and your backstory. So let's start there. Could you share a little bit of your backstory, your personal background, Charles?
Well, I grew up in the ski business. My father and mother started the ski area when I was an infant in 1960. And that's where I grew up and learned to ski and worked in the family business all throughout my younger years. And, after going to law school and being out east and living that life for a while, I came back in 1990 as a young adult and joined that family business, making it the second generation ski area. And that was Lutzen ski area at the time. And then since then, I acquired Granite Peak, or became the leaseholder in 2000, and have been here for 20 years now.
Wow, 20 years. It's going fast, I imagine.
It really has. Time seems to go faster and faster the older you get.
So now let's talk about Granite Peak Ski Area. You took it over in 2000. You said, so you've been here 20 years.
What did you inherit when you took it over? What did you inherit, and as an owner, as a leaseholder, and then the growth since that time, Charles? Could you just share that story, please?
Well, I inherited a proud history and a heritage with the ski area that goes back to the 30s. Strong community support for the continuation of skiing at Rib Mountain, and a vision to move it forward that the DNR had worked out with an outside consultant called the SE Group, and I essentially started with that vision and have moved it forward to where it is now.
And so, growth within the industry, the ski industry has to be in my mind doing differently well in this time, because it's the one thing you can do outside. Have you seen a lot of growth over the last year?
Well, over the last number of years, we have done a lot of expansions. There's been new high-speed lifts. We've essentially rebuilt the base area and redone the snowmaking, et cetera, et cetera. And so we have seen some growth that's been proportionate with that investment over the past 20 years. This past year, if that's what you're asking about, has been quite a challenging time in many ways. COVID really struck the economy hard in March, which was really one of our busiest time periods of the ski season. So we lost a very sizable amount of our business last spring, March and April. And we really have very, very few summer operations. Weddings, of course, were canceled as well. But, since then, there's been a real strong demand for outdoor recreation, whether it's the state park system or it's vehicle campgrounds have seen very strong business this summer. And that strength has continued into this winter as well. We've seen strong customer demand for anything outdoor recreation. And we've also been blessed with exceptional weather this winter. It's been, I can't remember a winter like this where we've not had these stretches of cold weather or rain, or usually both.
Right. Visitors annually, how's that been over the years? How many visitors do you entertain a year typically in a season?
We have, from outside of our season pass holder pool, we have 100 mid 100s typically in skier visits, and then maybe 60% of that would be an additional amount of season pass holder visits. That grew quite significantly from 20 years ago, maybe a tripling, a doubling, something in that nature.
Yeah. I started skiing again. After I took a 30-year break. Last time I skied was back in 1990, and over the holiday, Christmas holiday, I went to Granite Peak ski area, and it's a big parking lot. And I was simply astounded to the depth of fullness of that parking lot. But still, because you've put so many good things in place for your customers, those people that come to enjoy your facility, there was plenty of room for everybody. People were distancing and being safe and wearing their masks. When I look at that, Charles, the economic impact of what Granite Peak Ski Area brings here, with visitors from out of state, many, and the dollars they spend. Do you have any numbers that you can share with the audience in terms of the impact of the ski area on this community?
I think we've done some I wouldn't say economic impact report, but more of just kind of some calculations. And I think it's, I would like to think it's in the $20 million range or possibly more. And that's really important to us, is to have that economic impact, but also to be a forum for recreation for all of the central Wisconsin, the local population. That's an equally, if not greater, part of what we're trying to do here. And I think we are doing that. We have about 4,000 season pass holders, and that was a large part of that number of cars that you saw there. And what we tried to do is to balance our traffic patterns out so that we can accommodate both our out-of-town people who drive most of that economic impact, as well as serve our local population.
Yeah. So when we look towards the future, I know you have a vision for Granite Peak Ski Area and also Rib Mountain State Park. Would you share with our audience what your vision is for your facility moving forward?
Yeah, as I said before, we've kind of finished the expansion that was originally envisioned when we became involved in 2000, and really the next stage of it involves really satisfying the family customer completely. So right now our runs are kind of centered in one area, and family and beginner skiers can't take a lift to the top. So what we envision is an expansion of the ski area that would really be focused on the family and the learning skier, add about 40% more terrain, and allow beginners and family members to go to the top. It would probably have a very customer-friendly a lift, probably a gondola, that would also facilitate outdoor recreation in the summer, which is a second big goal for us, is to help and work with Wausau to realize this vision of becoming an outdoor center for outdoor recreation in the region, really.
Yeah.
So those are a couple of the major points that we want to try to solve.
Great. From economic development asset, I wanted to go back to that number. The CVB doing some information last year, Charles, when we were working with the DNR, that impact was you were right, it was about $21 million annually on the local economy with the ski area here. So you're right on in validating that number. So let's talk about one more item. So you briefly talked about the pandemic in the spring, concluding your spring season in 2020. Let's talk about where we're at today. You're hitting record numbers, as I understand, in this time frame. The weather's on your side. You make snow. You were making snow in October this past year, if I remember right, late October. But in this pandemic, you've had to innovate. Could you share some of those innovations of how you've adapted and what you see sticking as you move forward?
Yeah, let me just comment on the record numbers. I mean, we have put a cap on the maximum number of visitors that we'll have on any of our peak days. So our peak days have been quite a bit less than what they would normally be in a normal year. But as I said, we've had really good weather, so it's been very, very consistent. Mm-hmm. So far this year, we're about halfway through the ski season. We're having a very good year. One of the things that we will probably continue is to put a capacity cap on our peak days. It's just improved the experience a lot for everyone. And I think that the trade-off is well worth it. We have seen people move from a Saturday to a Sunday, so the number of people maybe doesn't decline as much, and people are just spread out and have a much better experience. And also, we've been limited to 25% capacity inside our chalets. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we'll limit it to that level, but I think we'll be at 50% or 70% in the future because, again, the base lodges are just much more spacious and more enjoyable, and things like limiting the time that people can spend in the chalet, encouraging them to spend 30 or 40 minutes, has worked really well. And I just have to commend our customers for, you have to love just the resilience and good humor of Midwesterners. They've been so happy to be skiing and to be outside and enjoying things that all of these other restrictions haven't seemed to have bothered our customers whatsoever.
Yeah, I can tell you your staff, because I am a customer, and I've experienced your facility now 3 times, going again tonight with my daughter. It'll be her second time skiing. Your staff and facility are just wonderful, very professional, easy to do business, and just a good experience overall. So I just want to commend you and your staff on that respect.
Well, our staff comes from the same stock, a good-humored and resilient group that our customers come from, and I couldn't be prouder of them. They've been excellent. We have a new GM this year, which provides a day-to-day level of oversight and interaction with our customers and our staff that's been very, very nice.
Yep, we've had a pleasure to meet him last week. Nice young man, brought his family here from New Hampshire. Has big vision alongside of you with your facility. So, closing question. Charles, my favorite skier of all time growing up, Franz Klammer. The downhill racer from Austria, just flying. Who's your favorite skier of all time?
I guess my favorite racer was Stenmark, and he just won set the records for that time frame, and seemed to be kind of a magician both for slalom and GS, and could do everything. Not so much on downhill, but Franz Klammer was a favorite of many, many people too.
Oh yeah, it's a cool name, Franz Klammer. How can you go wrong with that?
Right.
And be Austrian on top of it. So, well, thanks for your time, Charles. If there's anything you'd like to just close with, to speak to the viewers or potential guests, take at it.
I would also just like to give a call out for our elected officials, including our governor and our public health officials. We had a surge in the fall, and both Minnesota and Wisconsin took steps. And unlike the rest of the nation, our cases have been going down, since November, and that's set a good foundation for businesses like ours to be able to operate at all. So I just commend what they've done.
Perfect. And I just want to encourage, if you are from the Wausau region or if you're proximate to it, right on the intersection of I-39 and Highway 29, you will see Granite Peak, Rib Mountain, and it is a treasure. And encourage all of you, if you've not been to the park or to the Granite Peak ski area, please do so. It's a good time, from starting level skiers all the way up to professionals. Highest vertical drop in the Midwest, Charles?
No, but it's one of the higher ones, and it's the highest in Wisconsin, and very close to the top of what other ones are.
Good.
Well, Charles, thank you for your time and for sharing your time on Elevated Conversations.
Well, thank you, Dave, and thanks for the great job you and the Chamber do. You do a lot for this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
This podcast episode is a production of the Greater Wausau Chamber of Commerce.